My friends, there's a tragedy that took place in New York City. A tragedy in Midtown Manhattan. If you turn on the news right now, you are probably going to, um, if you turn on the television right now, you're probably going to watch news about the tragedy that took place in New York, Midtown Manhattan. There was a shooting, there was violence in Manhattan, and this happened on Park Avenue. Multiple people were shot. A total of 5 people were killed. This is according to the latest report that I saw. Okay. Precious lives lost, including the life of a New York Police Department officer. And I was, the I was outside when the news broke, and I got an alert on my phone because I get the breaking news updates, the headlines, the alerts on my phone. So I saw that, and I was shocked when I heard about the shooting in Midtown Manhattan, and then started getting more updates. The number of people shot, the number of people who died, and it's really heartbreaking. It is heartbreaking to see the trauma that the people of New York City are going through. My friends, when the gunman opened fire, a police officer was killed, an NYPD officer. And the police officer was an immigrant from Bangladesh. Now, for those of you who know me, you know I am originally from Bangladesh also. I am also an immigrant from Bangladesh. And I'm a proud American citizen. And it's really heartbreaking when we hear about the death of law enforcement officers, people who are protecting and serving the community. They are trying to keep communities safe. And whenever we hear about a death of a law enforcement officer, it's truly heartbreaking. And this NYPD officer, as I said, was an immigrant from Bangladesh, a hardworking immigrant from Bangladesh, a man who chose to serve in law enforcement, a brave man who came to the United States from Bangladesh, and he wanted to serve the community, and he did serve the community. He joined law enforcement in New York. He wanted to protect people, so he chose law enforcement. A brave NYPD police officer. His name is Darul Islam. Darul Islam, the NYPD officer who was killed. Darul Islam. My friends, I'm thinking about the family of Darul Islam, deceased NYPD officer, a man, a police officer, a husband, a father, a son. He left behind two children and one on the way. He left behind a pregnant wife. The sadness that I feel in my heart today, I cannot express in words. Okay. NYPD officer Darul Islam, an immigrant from Bangladesh, left behind a pregnant wife and two children. Two children, a wife, and an unborn child. I'm feeling tremendous sadness. Tremendous sadness. And I know that you are feeling the same way. It's hard to express in words. Two children lost their father. An unborn child also lost the father. A wife lost her husband. A family now in pain. A community now in pain. A country now in pain. The United States of America is in pain tonight as we learn about the violence that took place in Midtown Manhattan. We lost a brave officer, an immigrant from Bangladesh. My friends, other people have been shot as well. Officer Islam was shot and killed, and other people have been shot as well. Other lives have been lost. There are many families in pain tonight. There are many families in pain, many friends in pain, thinking about their loved ones who have been affected by the violence in Midtown Manhattan. A gunman from Nevada reportedly drove across state lines and entered New York City. This gunman drove across the country from Nevada to New York City. Drove across states. It's a long drive. It takes time. What is the motive? What is the motive, my friends? I know you are asking that question. I'm asking that question, but you know what? We have to be patient. We have to wait for the truth. We have to be patient. We're not going to get all the answers tonight. We're not going to get all the answers tomorrow morning. We may not get all the answers this week. It's going to take time. So this gunman from Nevada reportedly drove across state lines and entered New York City and committed violence. And we don't know why. Why? We don't know what led to this violence. There will be investigation. Investigation is ongoing. It's already taking place as we speak. Law enforcement, local, state, federal, they will all be working on this case. Lives lost, precious lives lost. And as hours go by, hopefully we will learn more. Hopefully We will get answers to the many questions that we have. My friends, it was a secure building. It was a high profile building. That's what I'm reading from the different news sources. It was a high profile building. Many important firms, many important offices, many important organizations had offices in that building. It was a tall building, many floors. Lots of people worked in that building. It was a secure building. And this tragedy took place. Lives have been lost. You know, my friends, when there's property damage, okay, a house burns down, something happens to automobiles, something happens to a structure, something happens, when we're talking about material stuff, we're talking about, furniture and computer and bricks and whatever, property can be replaced. Lives cannot be. Once precious lives are lost, those lives are lost, and all that we are left with is pain, grief, sorrow. My friends, watch the news. Watch the news. If you haven't done so already, watch the news. You turn on any news station, this is what you're going to watch. This is the news that people are talking about, that people are discussing. Violence in Midtown Manhattan. Lives lost, including the life of an NYPD officer, Darul Islam, brave officer Darul Islam, an immigrant from Bangladesh, came to the United States, chose law enforcement. Chose law enforcement. Why do people choose law enforcement? They want to serve. There are so many professions out there that people can pick. So many different kinds of jobs, so many different fields, so many different sectors of the economy. But when somebody decides to go into law enforcement, they are driven by a sense of service, a desire to serve the community, a desire to protect and to serve. That's why people go into law enforcement. Midtown Manhattan, violence. And there's a dead police officer, a family now in pain. Reportedly, New York City Mayor Eric Adams met with the officer's family and it is with great sadness that I'm sharing with you this news that I read, that Officer Darul Islam was his parents' only son. Only son. Charisse is saying it's hard to watch the news. It is hard to watch the news, Charisse. It is hard to watch the news, especially tonight. And it will be hard to watch the news over the next several days. Because this violence resulted in many deaths, devastation. You have to look beyond the visible. When somebody gets physically hurt, when there's bloodshed, that's pain, that's suffering that you can see. But the emotional trauma that people go through, the emotional trauma, you can't see the emotional trauma. You can't see the mental health impacts. You can't see that. But it's very much real. When people are in pain, and there are many people in pain tonight, not just in New York, but all over the country. Here I am sitting in Wisconsin, and I can feel the sorrow. I can feel the pain. An officer, now dead, an officer, a brave officer, he was serving his community. Officer the Darul Islam. Don't forget the name. Remember the name. Always remember the name. It's a real human being, a man with a family, the only son of his parents, a father, a husband, a community member, a friend. I'm sure there are friends that he left behind who are in pain. A person has different roles in life. And this officer, the Darul Islam, he was a son, he was a husband, he was a father, he was a member of the community, he was a friend. He was a symbol of bravery. He was brave. And his friends are now in pain. His family is now in pain. And this loss, it's a loss forever. I was very shocked when the news broke and I heard that an NYPD officer has died. It just hit me. And I just it's like it's when you hear something like that, all you can do is pray, especially if it's so far away. You know, it's in New York, far, far away. And I got the news. I don't know the officer. I don't know his family. But I'm feeling the pain. You're feeling the pain. I know that. And there are others who died. Precious lives gone. So, my friends, what do we do? What do we do? It's that feeling of helplessness. What do we do? When a life is lost, you can't bring it back. What do we do? All we can do is pray. We can pray. That's what we have to do. We have to pray. And as a society, I think we should do more. We should do a lot more for law enforcement officers and their families. I know there are different efforts and initiatives and a lot of private organizations, nonprofits who help law enforcement, who help the families of law enforcement officers, who help the families of those who serve in the military. But more needs to be done. More needs to be done. As a society, it's our responsibility to do more for the people serving in law enforcement, for the families of law enforcement officers. I mean, I hope you agree with me. I hope you agree with me, regardless of political views, regardless of political ideology. I think we can all agree on this one thing, that we must do more for our law enforcement officers and their families. People don't go into law enforcement to make money. It's not a job where you're looking to make money. Obviously, any job gets you salaries and wages. But if somebody really wants to make money, if that's the goal, then people don't go into law enforcement. That's not the profession where you make money. People go into law enforcement because they are committed to public safety. They want to serve the community. They want to help people. People go into law enforcement because they want to put their own lives at risk to save others. It's that mindset. It's that mindset. People who go into law enforcement, they are ready to run towards danger. When others are going in that direction, running away from danger, law enforcement officers run towards danger. That's what they do. They have to be brave, not afraid, not afraid, never afraid. And they're ready for sacrifice every day. Law enforcement officers, when they leave their home to go to work, to start their shift, they don't know what they're going to encounter. They don't know what kind of danger may be waiting for them. They don't know that. They don't know what's coming. They are ready for anything and everything. And that's why law enforcement officers, they inspire others. Thank you, Sharice. Yes, all first responders are brave to do their jobs. Absolutely. I'm talking about law enforcement, but firefighters, we can talk about them and how brave they are. The kind of danger that they face, the kinds of situations that life-threatening situations that they deal with. Firefighters, absolutely. So I'm heartbroken, and I know you're heartbroken, and all we can do is pray right now. Pray, my friends. You know, today when I woke up, I knew I was going to have a very busy day, and I had certain topics in mind that I knew I would be talking about at night. Um, I wanted to talk about some political issues, some electoral races, and all that. So in the morning, I had decided, hey, I'm going to have a long day. It's going to be busy, but at the end of the day, if I get to do a live stream, this is what I'm going to talk about. And as soon as the news broke, as soon as I got the news about the Midtown Manhattan shooting, I said, I'm not going to be discussing any politics today. I'm not going to be discussing any politics today. This is not the time for political discussion. It's not. I mean, precious lives have just been lost in New York. And we don't know the answer. I was going to talk about North Carolina. I was going to talk about election. I was going to talk about the Senate race in North Carolina. And I said, no, not tonight. Not after the tragedy that took place in New York. No political discussion. But my friends, you also must understand that you have to think about the future. You have to think about the future of New York City. You're going to have to think about the future of NYPD. And if you want NYPD to be strong, if you want New York City to be safe, then at some point we're going to have to talk politics. We're going to have to talk election. We're going to have to talk local government. We're going to have to talk about who the next mayor is going to be. I know it's not the time for political discussion, and I made it very clear that I had lots of political discussion that I wanted to do tonight, but not anymore, not tonight, later on, because right now we are in pain because we lost a brave police officer in New York, Officer Darul Islam, an immigrant from Bangladesh. But my friends, and those who are watching from New York City, think about the future of the city. Think about who is the right person for the job of the mayor. Is it the incumbent mayor? Or is it some of the other candidates who are running? My friends, just keep in mind, especially after the tragedy that we all are learning about, the tragedy in Midtown Manhattan. Keep one thing in mind. Never support anyone who says defund the police. Never. Never. Don't support any political candidate who comes to you, shakes your hand, and says that he or she wants to defund the police. Any political candidate who gives you a brochure, a flyer, or a poster, or a piece of paper that lists the candidate's priorities, and you see that one of the priorities of that candidate is to defund the police, don't vote for that candidate. Do not vote for any candidate who wants to defund the police. We just lost a brave law enforcement officer. We have lost other brave law enforcement officers in the past. We have to support our police. And when I say our police, I'm not talking about the police just in my city. I'm talking about our police as in our country's police. Police departments all over the country, from East Coast to West Coast to Midwest to South, everywhere. When I say our, I'm not saying just our as in like the police departments here in Wisconsin. No. You're in Idaho, you're in New York, you're in California, you are in Texas, you are in Ohio, Pennsylvania, Illinois, Nebraska, wherever you may be, Alaska, Hawaii, Florida. I don't know where you are tuning in from. I know many of our friends, but others who are tuning in, no matter where you are from, no matter where you live, we have collectively, we have a responsibility to support our police. Do not allow political candidates and politicians, do not allow politicians to defund the police. Without the police, society will descend into chaos. We don't want chaos. We don't want lawlessness. We want law and order. Sharice is here. Gianna is here. Vilma is here. DSAR is here. That's Donald. Tangerine is here. Jackson is here. AC Cruz is here. John is here. Sky Blue is here. DD is here. Did I miss anyone? Did I miss anyone? Tanupriya is here. My friends, please say a prayer. Pray for those who are in pain tonight, not just the physical pain, but the emotional pain too. Pray for those who are experiencing fear and pain and sorrow and grief tonight. Please pray for them. There are many victims tonight in New York City. The pain is unimaginable. There was a shooting in the lobby of a building and then shooting on the 33rd floor. The gunman from Nevada reportedly died of self inflicted gunshot wound. Self inflicted gunshot wound. The shooter, the gunman, is dead, according to reports, because of self inflicted gunshot wound. Brian is here. Hi, Brian. My friends, think about the family of Officer Darul Islam, an immigrant from Bangladesh, a man who came to the United States and joined law enforcement. Please pray. Please pray. I hope you will all pray. If you believe in the power of prayers, let's pray for everyone. Everyone affected by this tragedy in New York City. So sad. So sad. Heartbreaking. You know, I think about the family and I just wonder, how is this family going to move forward? Yes, there'll be lots of support. There'll be lots of support, many well wishers, lots of support from the whole community in New York, from other law enforcement officers, from political figures and government. There'll be lots of support for that family, the family of the Darul Islam. But you know what? It's not going to bring him back. The children who lost their father is not coming back. The wife who lost her husband, the husband's not coming back. So no matter how much of support that family gets, that pain, it's not going to go away. But you know what? As human beings, collectively, as a society, we must try our best. We must try our best to support families like the family of Officer Didarul Islam. Brian is writing, wife is pregnant with his third child. That is correct, Brian. That is correct. And it's just so heartbreaking. You know, we were talking about life the other day. I don't know if it was the last live stream or a few live streams ago, but we were talking about unborn child. We were talking about the importance of life, the importance of protecting life, of importance of preserving life. The unborn child is a child. And there is an unborn child, a child who lost the father. Selena is here. So Unimaginable pain. Unimaginable pain. So, my friends, we must continue to pray. And as a society, we must do whatever we can to help and support the law enforcement officers and their families. We must do whatever we can to support the law enforcement officers and their families. So, lives lost, precious lives, and we are still waiting to find out more about the gunman. We're waiting to find out more information. So, I don't have anything else to add right now, but we are all eager to know the truth. We are all eager to know the truth. So, my friends, that's all I have. I'm not going to make this too long. I'm so shocked. I'm so sad. I'm not going to, um, you know, continue with this live stream tonight. I will be back. I will be back with more live streams and more videos, but I'm going to go watch the news for new information, and I'm going to continue to pray. Pray for the family of Officer Darul Islam. I'm going to write that. I'm going to write that here, and you can repeat it if you want. Whatever I'm writing, you can repeat if you want. Please pray for the family of NYPD officer Darul Islam. Please pray for the family of NYPD officer Darul Islam. All right, my friends. That's all I have for tonight. Thank you, my friends. I know many of you wrote different questions and comments that unfortunately I was not able to um, respond to, but I'm going to be back with more videos and more live stream. I'm just so heartbroken tonight. So heartbroken. So heartbroken. May his soul rest in eternal peace. May Officer Darul Islam's soul rest in eternal peace. All right, my friends. Thank you for joining me tonight, and I'm going to be back with more videos and live streams. Please continue to pray. Thank you. Thank you, my friends. Please pray for the family of Officer Darul Islam. Thank you.